This is the Hulsh.
Okay. Now he's got spotting aircraft mod 1, which is really good for Venezia. That's playing off on the offside, or on if it's going to go on the flank or whatnot, I should say. You have the ability to get the extra range, of course, but you also have the extra vision. Very good for hitting ships that might be in smoke as well. All that good stuff. Come on, game. There you go. So we've got that. Then you've got damage control. Interesting damage control instead of engine and rudder protection. I would think that you would go for engine and rudder.
He might have that on the captain. So I know I run preventive maintenance on the captain for Vens because Italian rudders are pretty fragile.
Yeah, yeah. No, he doesn't. He doesn't have last stand on his
Oh yeah,
boat.
the
So
last thing too. Yeah, interesting.
yeah, it's interesting. Okay. Let's see. So then, aiming systems makes perfect sense in the Venezia. There's really nothing else I would want to use in slot 3. Slot 4 propulsion mod. That's great if you're going to be doing kind of like a lot of dodging using W and S. Concealment, and then main battery mod 3. Now, mod 3 is nice because if you're planning on surprising a ship, and obviously you're up close and personal, the other, sometimes I see players choosing to use range instead, because then you're a little bit farther out of out of the way. You can dodge a little bit better, that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
both are fine. My guess is he's using Cincinnati, because why the heck wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Now his talents don't proc, but he does get the buffed gun feeder, which is very handy. 60% reduction in switching from SAP to AP or vice versa.
Yeah, and Ven's AP against the right ships is really nasty.
Oh yeah, I couldn't believe, like, I've played clan battles where I just slapped away Moskvas. It's
Yeah.
glorious.
This last clan season, I remember doing a drive-by on a Mospa, and I didn't
Hmm.
have torps available, so I just AP'd them.
Yeah.
Got like 9 citadels. It's insanity.
So you've got, so he's got, I should say, he's got grease the gears, into priority target, good, into superintendent, extra consumable, extra heals, very handy, into concealment, gun feeder, and then the 6th skill was adrenaline rush, sure, and then survivability, and then finally top grade gunner. Is everything that you would want to have on a Venezia. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
For signals, anti-det, ramming flag, fire reduction, flood, increased flood chance, heal boof, heal boosting, heal buff, whatever. Ship speed, yep. Consumable prep time, yep. And then extra smoke generator. So when he uses his inky, he's able to get a little bit closer or a little bit farther away, depending on how he's using the smoke. Might give you a little bit more time as well to maneuver into a cap to try to get that cap for free. So, sure. Okay. So let's now take a look at the game itself. One of the things that I like to do, so bear with me for a moment, is I like to take a screenshot of the, kind of like the fleet. Since this is a team-based battle, it's not just about the Venezia here. So let's get that kind of setup going here. And then now, Zoolou, you said you're not the caller. You're in this game, right?
Yep, I'm the
You're in the
Shimakaze.
Shimakaze. You're in the Shimakaze. Okay. So as we play through this, Zoolou, if there's anything that you want me to stop, like pause the replay so we could talk through something, please, by all means, let me know.
Sure.
I always like to ask you at the start to tell me about the lineup choice that you guys have and your initial deployment. So if you could kind of walk us through some of the ideas behind what you're taking and where you're putting them, or
Yeah, sure. So with the Shimakaze for it's basically as fast stealthy spotter. I'm running the Swift and Silence on there, so I'm basically as fast as a Marceau Colbert without their speed boost running.
Mhm.
Uh, so that helps in getting positions faster. Other than that, it's going to be fairly standard. We like to use Z40. 52, or is that 52, and to contest CCAP on this map.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be doing a bit of a play on the DCAP early.
Okay.
Get a bit of an inkling on what NABR was going to be doing. So we had something set up for that. Napoli kiting side I believe we thought about Brisbane, but we weren't really looking to make any kind of push on the BA side. And Napoli's just very safe, so they can push into Napoli all they want and not really get much progress done on it.
Okay.
Des Moines definitely head over the D side to help out with radar. Our Stalingrad is going to be on the the Jelly Bean Island southeast of C, to where they can radar C and have guns on D.
Now that is an interesting position to go in, because on the south side, you've got that little channel, which means, I mean, obviously, could be rushed by a destroyer, could be flank shot from something that's up in like Bravo 9 or Charlie 9 or something like that, and he backs up too far. So
he's actually going to be not between those two islands, but to the south of it. So he's not going to be at the channel.
Okay, because that's what I was kind of fixing to say, is if you put somebody in there, he's going to die in there eventually. It's just a question of what you make happen up until that point. We've seen Des Moines parked in there and stuff. Now, I saw a lot of pinging up to the north of Charlie. I'm assuming that's the caller saying kind of expects to see Des Moines there or there. Okay, we think it's going to be there, like at Delta 5.
So those are going to be RPFs. So at this moment, we're discussing on where we think certain boats are going to be at and where RPFs are at. So we pretty much, at this point, we pretty much know that there's going to be a Ragnar to the west of C. Just based on RPFs and what their lineup has and what could be where.
Okay, so you're expecting it to be Ragnar simply because of its speed?
Because so we know that there's going to be DD north of C. We're guessing the Daring is going to be opposite the Z42, and then the Ragnar is going to be around E4.
Okay,
because
so
we have RPF pings in that area.
Okay, so radio location is telling you something is heading towards Echo 4 Island. Daring, as you're mentioning, is of course a very, I would expect the Daring, if anywhere, right, to go into that kind of central cap. So that makes perfect sense. Just like you sent your Z42 there, which is probably the best anti-destroyer you have. Same thing can be said for that Daring. And it makes sense for the Ragnar then to go into a position to support that Daring from a flank. So you're saying, all right, I'm expecting that Ragnar to go out to the west. Did you guys do homework on NABR? Did you know that that's kind of what they usually do? Or
I can't remember if we were specific on this map. We definitely we watch pretty much every replay of every team we go up against.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so we definitely do our research on that.
Okay.
I can't say what we were necessarily expecting the Ragnar to be there, but as soon as we saw the comp, like we're pretty confident we know where pretty much everything's going to be, based strictly on their comp and how we've seen this map played with this very similar comp.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you say you watch every replay, do you just go and like render them all and then like watch the top down so you gotta get a quick glimpse of what they do, or do you actually like sit there and load the full replay and watch through it?
We render it right now, though in the past we have watched. I've actually gone in and watched the actual file.
Okay.
From that perspective. So like last KOTS, I was watching like replays like mad in between matches.
Okay. And I mean, you can speed up. You have the ability to speed it up, so it's not like you're sitting there spending up to 20 minutes watching.
Oh yeah.
But you're taking notes, right? Where are they typically going? Where are they positioning their radar cruisers? Do they go aggressive one side? Like those are things that you're looking for as you're watching. And now with King of the Sea, I know that you are required to upload all those replays. Are those By the way, are those replays all on the WoW's Tournaments website? Is that where you
Yes,
find them?
they're all there.
Okay.
Yep, all the matches are there, which makes it very easy. Which makes it very convenient instead of like trying to hunt down who streamed what, so we can kind of do a little bit of research. But yes, that makes it nice to kind of look at things. And we're not when we do these, we're not saying, all right, this is what NABR does in this match. This is what Epoxy does on this map. We look kind of like what their tendencies are, what the comps they bring. So we're not going to say they did this strategy day one. We're going to counter this specific strategy. Good.
Okay.
The top teams aren't going to run the same things over and over.
Gotcha.
For that exact reason.
Right. Okay. All right.
So definitely pay attention to the D side where the Vens is at.
Yeah. Now I've been put this back to kind of regular speed. Daring is now detected. I'm gonna back off. I'm gonna actually pause it for a sec here. When we're watching a replay from a player's perspective, you don't really see that on the mini map. Obviously, you just see the arrow, and then you don't see the tooltip over their name, which is very disorienting. So here we go. We see Memesd is spotting their gearing. So we have a little bit of a gearing slap fight. You've got Tangerines and the Des Moines up there. And then here's that smoke from the Venezia. Now, what is this all about, putting the Venezia like this?
Well, the idea is that if a DD is contesting C with the Z42 there, we get a shot on that. If they're smoking to this Des Moines Island, we get a shot on that DD with the Vents. And if they aren't pushing in like the gearing is, the Vents doesn't even get spotted.
So what you are doing is essentially setting up to nuke whatever destroyer you guys have a shot at right off the bat, assuming they put a destroyer aggressively early.
Yes.
Okay. So here he goes. AP out on the gearing. Oh my god, 13,500.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it was complete broadside gearing, and we had Des Moines there, we had our gearing there. So it worked exactly as we had planned for it. We were actually not even aiming for that gearing to start. We were aiming for where the daring would be at. You see immediately the Vens is turning around. The Vens was there for one salvo and he's out.
Well, he did his job because obviously there's something in this smoke. Why would you do a death nail and not throw a cruiser in it? Right?
Yeah, so we know there's going to be a Des Moines in there. But at this point, we've got Kremlin, Des Moines gearing Vens there. They end up only having like Vincent and Des Moines. I think Marseille was out wide.
Now,
so, they can't contest.
How do you know it's Des Moines and not the Brisbane?
So that's mainly because I'm sitting on the Shimakaze. Plus, right here we see it on the Shimakaze.
Right.
I'm sitting out on the one line.
Yep.
I know that based on my RPF, something's coming up, and I'm not seeing the Des Moines, which means it's probably going to be the Brisbane over there because it was better detect.
Okay, yeah, so it has better concealment, therefore you're expecting, because at this point you're probably expecting that ship to be what, at Echo 1 Island or Echo 2 Island?
Yeah, something in that flavor. So you see, like, so if I'm in the shim, you see me, I'm completely turned out.
And there you are pinging, right there, yeah.
Yep. I know that they're right in there, and I know I'm about to be spotted. I'm just waiting till we can start delaying them. Because now they have to push. They have to push the B side.
Right, because they lost their ability to push over at the D side.
And as I mentioned at the beginning, we had the Ragnar E4 as well. So our Zed has been playing very careful to not get completely slapped down by Ragnar.
I mean, the 42 doesn't need to really do much other than just kind of prevent them from pushing through. Go for a little bit of resets here and there. All right, there's contact on your side. So let's take a look at your side, because I have a feeling that Delta now, you're going to get the Delta cap. And I mean, especially with the Kremlin and the Stalingrad there, you guys are focused on defeating that side in detail, the St. Vincent and Des Moines have no choice but to run away.
Yep, and we end up picking the Des Moines here pretty soon. I think he takes some gearing torps.
Well, here's the thing about the Des Moines, right? It is, as the Des Moines is kiting away, there we go. As the Des Moines is kiting away, he's going to be forced to, he's probably going to try to, turn a little bit, get the front guns in and stuff like that. There's a Stalingrad that's shooting at him, I'm sure. The Kremlin's probably going to be shooting at him. Your Des Moines that's sitting there, that's Tangerines behind the island, he's waiting for the right opportunity to possibly come out, although the St. Vincent might make him think twice about that.
Mm-hmm. Right now, we're looking at rotates, so you see where the Vens is at already. We're just completely rotating them off, and we're looking. As soon as we get the gap, we're looking for opportunities to rotate out and get C.
Well, sure, because the Venezia, of course, that's your destroyer nuker. So you've nuked the destroyer on this side. Now go someplace else to try to nuke. Question: I'm guessing you're gearing and Des Moines over at Delta. Once Delta is secured, I'm assuming that you guys are going to have them move almost due north to make sure that the Des Moines and St. Vincent can't kite to the corner and then come back behind you guys, right?
We end up sending them more towards the seaside. Part of that is we actually pick out their Des Moines as well, so we have less of a threat, and we don't know where their Marseilles is at. We're kind of guessing the Marseilles is on the 9-10 line, which just hasn't been spotted yet. So we don't want Des Moines to push out and then get surprised nuked from orbit by Marseille.
Well, no, and that's why I was thinking you'd have the gearing essentially turn around, turn northward, and kind of help smoke snail him, out of the cap. But no, I wouldn't think he's gonna just walk straight up forward right now. That's the worst thing you could do.
Yeah, and I can't quite remember exactly how the Des Moines and gearing make their way over to C. I know the gearing ends up in C itself.
Okay. And then, of course, with you and the Napoli kind of position where you guys are, you're the hold side of it. That's how I would look at it as casting this live. I would say, okay, you guys are the hold side. Obviously, you're on the one line, so you can luck chuck torps for days straight up the one line and smack get a lucky torp hit or something. Napoli's in position to kite away. Also, same thing with luck chucking torps. He's got the inky button if he needs to use it. And then you've got the Ohio kind of playing goalie, right, or safety. He can flex either side as necessary.
Yeah, and at this stage, we're not going to be able to stop the gearing Brisbane from pushing him to B. We're looking to delay it.
Yep.
As much as possible.
Right.
So that's why I'm at this position is now with the gearing. What ends up happening is the gearing ends up smoking much earlier than he probably wanted to. It's not really delayed that push. And yeah, I'm taking some pain here, but I'm not too worried about it.
You're not... I mean, the chances of you dying are quite low. You'll take some damage, but yeah, I mean, maybe the Conqueror gets a lucky shot on you or something, but... Alright, there goes so the Des Moines turned back in, and that's how he got killed.
That's how I took those torps, yep.
Why would you turn back in?
Yeah, that was a bit of a mistake on that one. He might have been trying to get to one of the islands, but the gearing torps were well placed.
Pretty sure we're just gonna blame Luke.
Blame Luke always.
Okay.
Even with this really great opening, NABR did everything they could to claw it back.
Of course.
They definitely recovered about as well as you could from this opening.
Yeah, I don't like St. Vincent and Des Moines cutting out in the same direction. Ah, there's the Marseille. So that's the final piece to this puzzle. Which is the reason why they were not kiting towards the corner, because the Marseille is already over there. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Still, it's odd that the Des Moines would turn back in like that. And the St. Vincent, too. I mean, if you know that there's probably going to be a destroyer, 16.5 kilometer torps coming your way, why would you put yourself in that position? Oh, well.
Yeah, they hadn't seen them, and I don't think our gearing had launched a SAP before, so they may have assumed that hit and launch, and they just didn't see them.
That's a possibility, yeah. Okay.
That's about the. I mean, that's a rationale I would use.
Mhm.
And then they just, it just didn't work out for them in that case.
Thunder, if it says too many tickets, that means you're already in the giveaway. You're set. Everybody gets one and only one entry, so.
And then that Ragnar pushing up actually was a pretty big pain because we don't have anything that really can pressure it in that position. So that was a really good push up by them, and it gave us some trouble for a while.
Yep, I see that. I see that because he's whacking your Z42. Actually, he's pushing him back quite a bit. Your Napoli is shooting. Your Ohio is shooting the Ragnar.
Ohio doesn't have the greatest angle, and Napoli HE is not amazing, so he got about as good a hit you can expect, but now he's tucked against the island. He can go dark whenever he wants.
Yep. Not only that, but now their gearing is in B cap, so that's a huge threat.
Yeah, and I can't. It's not. I can't go spot him in the shim because he's got a Brisbane set right there. And unless our Ohio and Napoli can one-shot the Brisbane, which is difficult, if the Brisbane has rudder mod especially, it yeah. So we just have to give it up.
Now you can see the Venezia player now luck chucking torps two different directions, one at where the Ragnar is, and then the other one towards the Shimakaze. And then he's continuing to shoot at the Daring when it's spotted. Uh-oh, you're 42. Yeah, he goes down.
Yeah.
But brilliant hit there on the Daring again from that Zed. Or, sorry, from the Venezia.
From the Venezia, and then our Gearing's here to finish off theirs.
Yeah.
So we set up a trade for that Daring.
Okay. I mean, that's about the best you could hope for in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll take that trade. Gearing's taking some pain still, but still fairly healthy.
Yeah, he did get slapped just
comes
now.
in from I think that was Marseilles, might have been Vincent, one of those two.
It's one of those two, yeah. They smacked him there pretty hard.
Yeah, you see the Des Moines still on that island, so we haven't rotated that Des Moines yet. Just looking for the opportunity to.
Yeah, if the Gearing was going to go back middle, I mean, there was an opportunity for a smoke train to get Tangerines out, but he was obviously had to turn around. He had to back up and turn around to do it, so.
Yeah, I think his smoke was still in cooldown until he got closer to the sea. So this is where, we're up 2 boats, but they're up on the AB side. They have complete control of that. We're never getting AB anytime soon. So we have to win at sea. And you can see where the Vincent's already turning in from this last spot. So he's already turning in the head into sea.
I gotta say, like you said, NABR didn't just give up. When they saw that flank was done, they assembled a push, and they basically came right at you guys. So good on them for that.
Yep, and we don't have a lot of kill pressure on like the Conqueror either.
No.
I think Napoli hits the torp here, but we don't have any kill pressure on Gearing, Brisbane, or Kong.
Oh, we're gonna go look at the Venezia's perspective here. Ragnar's on radar.
Yeah, he's looking for him.
Yeah.
Just barely.
Just barely out of range, yeah.
Yeah, and this was a really good maneuver by the Venezia. He slipped through and ends up getting to an island that he can hold, and he ends up helping get the cap pretty quickly.
Yep. Now Ragnar radars to see who's in C-cap. That's smart.
Yeah. Can't reset it though.
No. But that does allow them to know, okay, it's obviously him and the Gearing that are in there. So now the question is, where's the Marseilles? That's why you're pinging right there. You know the St. Vincent's there, right?
Yep, we know the St. Vincent as. We're trying to figure out where the Marseilles is at. We got the Des Moines and Kremlin positioned to help stop any kind of push from those two coming down.
Well, I see Tangerines has turned around.
Yeah, Tangerines has turned around. The Stalingrad turned around as well.
Looks like he's radaring too. He is. All right.
We didn't catch anything in that, but we just wanted to know what was nearby.
And your Kremlin was just ready for that potential shot there. I don't think he was expecting to see Marseille there. I think he was expecting to see the St. Vincent there, and then hey, look, Marseille showed up.
Yep, and then Gearing gets a little bit caught out there, which all of a sudden things are a bit dicey because we have nothing in position to contest C.
Again, you weren't expecting the Marseille there. The Marseille's hydro picks him up.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. 5 kilometer hydro is pretty nasty. So Benz ends up getting Benz ends up going flush with this island here. Loses the torpedo. I didn't realize he lost the torpedo.
Yeah, puts the plane up to spot.
Yeah, and then in the south, nothing comes of it, but I'm like sitting there like, okay, the score's getting a bit closer. They're getting in a stronger position, so I start turning around here pretty soon to try and backcap B.
So you're expecting the Brizzy and the Gearing to have gone back mid instead of continuing to push.
Yes.
Why would you expect that to happen?
I lost locate.
So you were no longer radio located.
Correct.
All right,
So
I'm guessing.
I knew they went north. To what
Okay,
extent,
so
I don't know.
did Nuke call out, "Hey, I picked up location then," or?
No, but I in the moment I just figured that's who had it. It had to have been the Napoli.
Okay. We've talked before about how radio location can work for you and against you, and here's an example of it working against, because now you know the direction that they've changed. All right, so there's the Brizzy detected.
Yep. So I'm kind of getting set up to maybe even go behind the South Island B, so I'm in position to backcap if we need it.
Okay.
We don't end up needing it, but that's kind of my thought process on that.
Sure. Especially once they've decided to not continue pushing, that's your job as the flanker, right? Is to turn back around, and it doesn't matter what ship you're in. If you're that kiting away flank position, then that's what you're getting ready to do. Marseille has a good shot on Nuke. Decent damage there. Gearing is detected now.
So this is where I think they should have pushed in. Getting the Gearing kill, and then this just slaps the Gearing again. It's not real. That kind of really hurt them. But they haven't lost the Gearing. They could have moved in like the Ragnar or the Gearing to take C and not pushed in this Marseille and Vincent here.
Mm-hmm.
They end up getting, they end up having a rough time. But they're trying to kill that Vence. They need kills at this point, so they have to push.
They do. I'm curious. Yes, you're right that they kind of got a little too aggressive with their destroyers. The thing that I don't understand is your Vens gets up to the island and makes himself really skinny there. I know they want to kill him, but they can't because your Des Moines and Kremlin are protecting from the Marseilles approach. And, well, that's really about it. So the St. Vincent really doesn't have that much to stop him from just YOLOing in, right?
Well, so the Kremlin actually has his guns on the Vincent. And the Vens and the Des Moines have their guns on the Marseille.
Okay. But what I'm saying is between the two of them, the St. Vincent's going to have an easier time jumping in, whereas the Marseille gives too much side in order to do it. Actually, I can just do this, and we can look from your perspective here, from the Venezia's perspective. Let's play it out and see what happens. At this point, a trade is fine. You're up on a lot of points.
Yep, they end up picking off Nuke.
Yeah, I see that.
Right before we kill him.
Well, he got too far up. And yeah.
Trade there, and then we get this. I think we see AP here. Yes.
Yep.
So we see what the Ben's AP can do.
Boom. And that's it. That's game.
So if we had it, and I've watched this a couple times, without that like early pick on the Gearing and the Des Moines, I think this would have been like I think NAB are maybe even beating us in this game. The early pick was kind of a big deal. We had the health advantage, but Brisbane is just so powerful.
Right.
We didn't really have an answer to it.
Right. Okay. And I got a replay from somebody. I'm trying to find it right there, but here's your render either way. Wonder if okay. The Brizzy player sent me a Minotaur replay. That's what it was. Okay.
Gotcha.
I was just trying to figure out if it was the same match. It would have been interesting to see it from their perspective. But anyways,
Yeah, I think I've seen a lot of teams that Brisbane gets banned. They run either Worcester or Minotaur in that
mhm.
position.
All right, talk
Now,
about this. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, even with Nevsky banned this season, I wonder if people would like rather use Brisbane instead of Nevsky now in that smoke cruiser setup.
Well, it's kind of funny because it does what the Nevsky does well as kind of like a kiting ship, but adds with it, the super heal. So it's almost a better Nevsky at this point.
And better detection and better torpedoes.
That's what I mean, right? Exactly. So it's just
Yeah.
a better Nevsky. So, but I like to talk about looking for lines, and you can see right now at this point in the replay in the render, you guys have almost a flat line all the way from you at the extreme flank all the way up to your Des Moines.
Yep. We're trying to hold that because we know to get positioned to where we can defend C and D.
Yeah.
We don't want to get wrapped around. Like getting wrapped around is just instant death.
Yeah. It's interesting. So again, when you form that line, it's important. Now, watch your Napoli. Watch your Napoli. He is starting to just go. He's walking right at the gearing and the Ragnar.
Yep. He got a little bit antsy.
Yeah.
Push, and then he gets slapped by. I think he has too many ships angled too.
Right, exactly. And that's what I mean. Like when you draw that line, what's nice about that is, everybody's together and everybody's able to kind of mitigate damage. But as soon as you start going full send, like he did, right? Then the enemy has one target to focus instead of anybody along that line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I get what he was doing. He was trying to make certain that we traded out,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't. It wasn't to the point where I think we needed that done.
No, it was. I mean, that's the kind of desperation play you have towards the end of a match when it's very close, right? And you need that extra little oomph to make it happen, but probably not necessary in this situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we definitely got full use out of the Vens this match.
I'll say.
We got slapped. He completely nuked the gearing to start, the other gearing, the daring. Really, only DD he didn't hit with a bunch of SAP was the Ragnar.
Yeah, which I'm sure he wanted to, just never had an opportunity. But yeah, I mean that SAP is just such a great anti-destroyer setup. What I love about it though is the traditional way that we've seen Venezia played in competitive has been kind of taken over by the Napoli now, as that kind of a flank kiting away ship that shoots at things from long range, especially because the SAP will pen 50 millimeter armor. It's great against Moskvas and Stalingrads, but now that we see less of those in competitive, you can see the power of the Venezia, that the flexibility to change from a kiting away, long range, pain in the butt ship to, basically destroyer assassin. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and that's definitely how we're trying to play. So we don't play Vens in like every strat. We have other, if we need a kiting cruiser, we've got other ones. So especially at the start of the match and how we played that, we were specifically in the mode of we want Vens to be able to get shots of destroyers. And this push back in through sea. I don't know if this was the whole just doing it because you saw the opportunity, or if it was called to do that. But getting in that position was really strong because then they can't really take sea. They can't like nose in the sea and take it from there
Mm-hmm.
because they'll have Ben spotting them, proxy spotting them, so they can't
Well,
contest it that way.
it
And then
almost
you get,
looked it almost looked like he was planning on dealing with the St. Vincent where he was originally, and then he got hydroed. And as soon as he got hydroed, he said, "Uh-oh," um, because obviously everybody wants to shoot him.
oh yeah,
So I think that was a kind of an instinctive defensive play, right? Because at that point, you've got two options. You can dive the island and use the island to protect you from that side essentially, and only worry about the people to the south and the west. The other option is to completely turn and run, which I think is what your gearing did when he got
Jared
detected.
tried to do. Oh yeah, yeah, and then he got a cross shot in that one.
Right,
Which
exactly. And then obviously Venezia would be next. At that point, he probably would have been out of hydro range, but his
but then
position ended up being perfect because it locked down
yeah,
both of those ships.
and he ended up being in a perfect spot to kill the other gearing on the BA side.
Yeah, while all that's going on. So, geez. Um,
Yeah, so it turned out to be a brilliant spot to end up in.
yeah. Chat, I want to give you guys an opportunity to ask a question of Zulu. Any of you guys have a question from, uh, as a viewer watching COTS, now's a great opportunity to ask any question. If you have them, put them in chat, and I'll try to ask. I have one question for you. Meanwhile, Zulu, um, we've seen this map banned so many times in King of the Sea. From your perspective as a competitive COTS player, why is it being banned so much? What is it?
Oh, it's the same idea as I think it's less extreme version of like Shatter and Sleeping Giant,
Hmm.
but it's the idea of you have well, especially on this map, you have the sides are imbalanced. Like the south side, we couldn't play a stall with that same position that we did on the north side, so that's part of it. Other
I'm
part of it
sorry. Can you
is
repeat yourself? You got a little quiet there. Can you just
oh,
repeat that
sorry,
part?
I backed it from the mic. So on the
Okay.
south side, you can put the stall in there, you can play it there, but on the north
Uh-huh.
side, you can't play it on that sea rock anywhere near as well. You can still play there, just not effectively. So there's a little bit of map imbalance on that, and it's also a map where there's just a lot of opportunities for some like shenanigans where you pick a comp, then the strat, they have their comp and strat, and it's just a blind counter. It's like Shatter. So if you put a Schlieffen and Des Moines in the middle of Shatter, and they
Mhm.
put two Des Moines in the Schlieffen in the middle of Shatter, you just lose. So it's kind of the situation where it's much harder to react. Um,
Right. Okay.
and you see that in Sleeping Giant because of how the A cap and the C cap in Sleeping Giant are so far apart and so many islands between them, you just can't support them. So if you're in a bad, this is what happened against BN on Sleeping Giant, is we
Hmm.
set up a position where we outpowered them on the A side and we pinned them down on the C side, and they
Hmm.
couldn't rotate. So rotating is also a big deal. So rotations on this map are very difficult if you're in a cruiser or a battleship. That's kind of where I would say it. Plus, um, I don't think we had the AB before.
No.
I haven't played. Yeah, so it's like the Land of Fortune change they made last season. So it's just kind of new as well. So I don't think everybody has figured it out.
Yeah. So this map has changed. The A and B now is put in there on that side instead of having a centralized cap. The Delta cap, I believe, has moved farther over to the right than where it initially was. And I kind of feel like Wargaming, when they made these changes, like as well to Islands of Ice, similarly, they're trying to get more, uh, you know, to the point where you can't really rotate that easily. To the point where you have to, have your engagement set up, and you have to really either win or whatever your flank, and it's much more decisive as a
Yeah,
result.
and rotations are so important in competitive, and
Right.
getting rotations at the right time and recognizing when you do it. And if you recognize you need to do it and you're not able to do it, that just feels really bad.
Right.
You just kind of stuck.
And this
Um,
map is really large too.
yeah, So something like North, you have you can rotate a lot easier in North. There's a lot more balance between the different sides. Islands are very similar. There's some differences, but nothing nothing that's really out of the ordinary.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so I think that's why we see it, and we're still going to see more like Shatter, more Sleeping Giant bands, I think. But I think this will be probably the third band map.
Yeah. All right.
This
Good.
ended up.
It's
I was
Go
going
ahead.
to say since this was the third map, neither team picked it.
Yeah.
I think NABR picked Islands of Ice. In the first game, we picked Warriors Path, so we beat them in Islands of Ice. They beat us in Warriors Path. So it's kind of funny we lost in the maps we picked.
Right. Okay.
Bans for this map were Yang and Kleber. We banned Kleber.
See here. Okay. There it is. So oh, you guys played Islands of Ice to start.
Yep, that was a very close one. I picked this specific match just because it was the game 3 of the series.
Uh-huh.
So this was like the deciding one. But the Islands of Ice one was really good. We didn't have. There was not a kill in Islands of Ice until well past the 10-minute mark.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that was another really close one. Very similar setups. They had some differences. They had some things we hadn't seen before. So we had to adjust pretty quickly on that front. So that was another good one. Warriors Path. Honestly, their Vermont play on Warriors Path is what won them the game. So kudos to that player.
Good. Okay. Well, thanks for talking through the replay here. I haven't seen any questions from chat, so what we'll do is we'll move on to the next replay then.